Hi friends, I'm going to talk about accruals today. What is an accrual? Transactions occurred but not accounted is an accrual. Transactions occurred but not accounted is an accrual. What are those transactions? These transactions can be divided into two categories: expense, revenue. In case of expense, any expenditure incurred but not accounted has to be accrued. So, any expenditure incurred but not accounted to be accrued. Same way, any revenue earned but not accounted has to be accrued. For example, let us take an example. An auditor provided his services from 1st December to 31st December, 1 month. One auditor provided his services from 1st December to 31st December. Services are completed. And business has to pay $1,000. Business has to pay $1,000. But auditor is yet to send invoice copy for us to book that expenditure. Auditor is yet to send us invoice copy to book the expenses. He didn't send. So, since he did not send the expenses by 31st December, I need to book that expenditure in my books of accounts. How do I book? I need to book that expenditure as an accrual. Why I need to book as an accrual? Because I did not receive the invoice copy. Since I did not receive the invoice copy, I cannot process the invoice. I cannot book the expenses. But I need to book that expenditure as a part of accrual. What should be the basis for me to book this as an accrual? Either it should be an agreement with the auditor, or based on the history, I can see what is that previously audit fees I paid to the auditor. Based on that, I can conclude what should be the amount I need to book as an accrual. And I need to book an expenditure accordingly. Why am I booking that? Because I did not receive the invoice copy. So, I need to book that expenditure as audit fees. Debit $1,000. Let us say this $1,000 I have taken based on the agreement I had with auditor. So, audit fees expenditure, hence expenses and losses I debited, and credit accrued audit fees, $1,000. Why I need to credit accrued audit fees? The simple reason is accrued audit fees is a liability for me because I need to pay that amount to the auditor. Since auditor did not send me the invoice copy, for time being I am crediting accrued audit fees as a liability. So, this accrued audit fees will be considered as a liability. Clear? So, this entry I need to book as a part of accrual. Why I need to book this as a part of accrual, I'll explain it later. For right now, since I did not receive the invoice copy, I need to book this expenditure in my books of accounts as a part of accrual, because transaction is occurred, transaction is completed, but I did not receive the invoice copy. Hence, I am booking this as an accrual. So, I booked audit fees debit and credit my audit fees, accrual audit fees credit. This is a liability and this will go to P&L account because it is an expenditure. Same way, for revenue, I need to book. Let us say I have some deposits in my bank. I am supposed to get interest. Same period, let us take same period, 1st December to 31st December, 1 month, interest, some $1,500 I am supposed to receive. But by end of the month, 31st December, I did not receive the bank statement. Hence, I cannot book that revenue. But revenue is accrued. Revenue is accrued. So, I need to book that revenue as a part of accrual. So, what entry I book? So, here, 1st December to 31st December, my interest is earned. I earned my interest. When did I credit? I will get credit that interest in my bank account by end of 31st December. But banker did not credit, and since banker did not credit by end of the December, it did not appear in my bank statement. So, since I do not have details in bank statement, I wouldn't have accounted that entry. But I know I am supposed to get interest by end of the month. If I don't receive that in my bank statement, I need to book that as a part of accrual. I need to book that as part of accrual. How do I book? The entry is, here interest is an income for me. Interest is an income. So, I need to credit my income. Which one I need to debit? I need to debit my bank account. But I did not receive by end of the 31st December. So, what I need to debit is, I need to debit accrued interest. Debit, accrued interest, debit, and credit interest. I need to debit accrued interest and credit interest. Here, accrued interest is an asset for me, current asset. Interest is revenue. So, in case of expenditure, accrued audit fees is a liability. In case of accrued interest in revenue, accrued interest is an asset. So, it will go to current asset, this will go to current liability. So, these are the journal entries we need to book for accrual. Once we book these journal entries, what will happen? Next month, let us say this audit invoice we received. Next month, let us say we received the invoice copy from the auditor. That time, the invoice will be processed. When we process that invoice, what entry it will come? Expense debit, credit, auditor account. Expense account debit and auditor account debit, credit. This is the entry I need to book. Once I book this entry, once I process the invoice next month, that means January, I am debiting expenses and crediting auditor account. Just go back and see, December month what I did? I debited audit fees. And January month also, I say, let us say this is also an audit expenditure. So, this is also an audit fees. Don't you think that I am debiting audit fees twice here? I already debited audit fees as a part of accrual, and again I am debiting audit fees when I receive the invoice. So, what I am supposed to do when I receive the invoice is, whatever accrual previously I booked has to be reversed. Whatever accrual previously I booked has to be reversed in next month. Next month, why I need to reverse that in next month? Because I received the invoice copy, I am going to process. Since I am going to process that in next month, I need to reverse this accrual and book my invoice, so that it will not have double impact on P&L account. That I will explain in detail with the example, so that it will be clear. Let us say, I'll take the same audit fees as an example, and I will tell you what is the impact on P&L account as well, so that it will be easy for you to understand. Let us say December month, I booked accrual for audit expenses. What entry I booked? Audit fees, debit $1,000, credit accrued audit fees $1,000. This is the entry I booked in December, because in December I did not receive the invoice copy, hence I booked this entry. Now I am in January month. I received the invoice copy. Once I receive the invoice copy in the month of January, I need to process. When I process, what will happen? Again, the entry will be audit fees, debit $1,000 and credit auditor account $1,000. Clear? See here, audit fees I debited 1,000 in December. In January again I debited audit fees when I received the invoice. That means my P&L is debited twice, once in December and other one is in January, which is wrong. So what I am supposed to do? When I book the accrual in December, the accrual has to be reversed when I received the invoice copy. Since I received the invoice copy in the month of January, I need to reverse this accrual. So the entry will be accrued audit fee debit, audit fees credit for $1,000. Now you see, audit fees debited and credited got cancelled. My audit accrual credited and I again debited, it got cancelled. Now what is there? It is only one expenditure debited and liability credited one. That's all. So if I do not reverse this, what is the impact? It will have double impact on my P&L account. Hence, when I book the accrual has to be reversed in next month as and when I received the invoice copy. That has to be kept in mind while booking an accrual. Clear? Now, in P&L, December month, if I prepare my P&L account, this audit fees would have been there in debit in December month. January month, what happened? This accrual got credited. So, my P&L account will be credited to the extent of 1,000. I booked an invoice copy again for 1,000. So, this will be debited. Now you see, January month there is no impact. One credit was there in January and I processed invoice, there is a debit. So, impact is 0 in January. Whereas in December, if you see, that 1,000 remains the same. Why? You processed invoice in the month of December. Why there is no, sorry, you processed invoice in the month of January. Why there is no impact in January? There is no need to have an impact in the month of January. You know why? Because this expenditure is pertaining to December. This expenditure has to be debited in December month P&L account. That was debited. Why it is credited in the month of January? Because you received the invoice copy in the month of January. So you have to reverse this and rebook, you rebooked it. But the impact in P&L account has to be given only in the month of December because the expenditure is incurred in the month of December. So what is the definition of accrual says? Transaction occurred but not accounted. Transaction occurred in the month of December, but invoice is not received. Hence you did not account. But you accounted this as an accrual. Book. Now you reversed it. Why you reversed it? Because you received the invoice copy in the month of January. So you booked an invoice. January it should not have any impact because this expenditure is not related to January. But you are forced to account it because you received the invoice copy in the month of January. So, see, January no impact, though entries are worked, January no impact. When is the impact? The impact is happened only in the month of December because this expenditure is related to December. Clear? Now, what happens if I don't book an accrual? That we need to learn. As per matching concept, for example, I will give you with an example. What happens if I don't book an accrual? That we need to understand now. Let us say I have $10,000 revenue in December. I have December month revenue 10,000. How do I get a revenue of 10,000? For earning this 10,000 revenue, I would have spent some expenditure. Clear? If I want to earn 10,000 revenue, I need to spend something, right? I would have spent some expenditure. I would have incurred some expenditure. Right? My expenditure for earning this 10,000 is, let us say, expenditure 1, $1,000. Expenditure 2, I'm not giving you the details of expenditure, I'm just giving you expenditure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Expenditure 2, $500. Expenditure 3, $3,000. Expenditure 4, $500. So what is the total expenditure? My total expenditure is $5,000. So for earning 10,000 revenue, I spent $5,000 as an expenditure. Clear? Now, out of these 4 expenses, I received invoice for these 3. Invoice received. Invoice received, these 3. I did not receive this invoice. What will happen now? My revenue will show as a credit in my P&L account 10,000. Clear? Since I received invoices and I booked my expenditure, 4,500 will be my expenditure. 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 plus 500. 4,500 is my expenditure. I did not receive this 500 invoice, so I did not book. Now, what is my profit as per P&L account? As per P&L account, my profit is $5,500. 10,000 minus 4,500 equal to $5,500 is my profit. Is that real profit? The answer is no. Why? You spent $5,000 as an expenditure to earn this 10,000. But how much you booked in your P&L account? 4,500. Because of which what happened? Your profit is inflated to the extent of the expenditure for which invoice is not received. This is an expenditure. You did not receive that invoice, because of which your profit is increased to that extent, which is not correct. That is the reason why, though this 500 invoice is not received, you need to book that as an expenditure, as an accrual expenditure. If you book this as an accrual, what will happen? Let us say you book an expenditure, accrual expenditure. How do you book? Debit expenditure, 500. Credit, accrued expenses, 500. If you would have booked this as an accrual, this expenditure would have gone to P&L account. So, this will become 5,000 then, because you booked an accrual. Now your profit will be $5,000, which is perfectly correct. So, what happens if I don't book an accrual for the expenditure where I have not received invoice? You have not received the invoice here, but you have to book an accrual. If I don't book an accrual, what will happen? My profit will be inflated to that extent, which is not correct. Hence, you need to keep this mind that any expenditure for which invoice is not received has to be booked as an accrual to make sure that you are arriving the correct profit. So, accrual has to be booked. So, what is the question? What happens if I don't book an accrual? If I don't book an accrual for my expenses, my profit will be inflated. So, which is not correct. Hence, I need to book that expenditure as an accrual to make sure that I am disclosing the correct profit. So, this is the reason why we are showing accruals in our books of accounts. Clear? Now, I'll give you with case study how to book accruals in our corporate environment. This is very important. You need to understand how do I calculate my accruals, what are the steps to be followed. Once I calculate the accrual, once I book the accrual entry, what is my next step? Also you need to understand. That I am going to explain. Let us say I have legal expenses. I am taking the legal expenses as an example. Legal expenditure. I am taking previous month, and current month also as an example. Current month. Let us say previous month I am supposed to receive 3 legal invoices. Previous month I am supposed to receive 3 legal invoices. One is for $500, other one is $1,000, other one is $1,500. $3,000 I am supposed to receive in previous month. I mean to say, let us say I am currently in December. This is November. November month I am supposed to receive these 3 invoices, but I did not receive. So what I would have done in November? I would have booked an accrual for 3,000 because I did not receive. I would have booked this as an accrual. Let us say last month legal expenses debit 3,000, accrued legal $3,000. This is what entry I would have written in last month. Let us say currently I am in December. December month, two invoices I am yet to receive, I did not receive. One is $2,000, other one is $3,000. $5,000 invoices I am supposed to receive in the month of December, but I did not receive. Correct? Now, current month, what is that accrual I am supposed to book? When I am in December, I am supposed to book an accrual for 5,000. Because December month I am supposed to receive these two invoices, I did not receive, hence I need to book an accrual. Please, heaven's sake, don't ever blindly book accrual for 5,000. There are other aspects to be considered while booking this, while finalizing this as an accrual for December. What are those other aspects we need to keep in mind while booking December accrual? I will tell you those points. The first thing what you are supposed to do is, what happened to the last month? Last month, I booked an accrual for $3,000. That means I did not receive these three invoices, hence I booked an accrual for $3,000. Now I am in December. When I am in December, I need to see whether these three invoices received in the month of December or not. If these three invoices are not received in the month of December, I need to rebook that as an accrual in December. That has to be first, identified. So what I am supposed to do is, first see whether these three are received in the month of December or not. Let us say I have not received this 1,500. These two I received. These two I received in the month of December, but I did not receive this 1,500. Okay? So, November month, this is the accrual I booked. December month, what will happen? I need to reverse this entry, thinking that I am going to receive these 3,000 worth of invoices. So what will happen if I reverse? Accrued legal, debit $3,000, credit legal expenses $3,000. I reversed that entry in December. Closed. Last month accrual got reversed. Thinking that I am going to receive these three invoices in the month of December. Did I receive all the three invoices in December is the question. No, I did not receive. How many I received? I received only these two. That means 1,500 I would have received. So for 1,500, what entry I would have booked? I would have booked legal expenses debit $1,500, credit supplier account $1,500. Clear? These two, in the month of December, when I received, legal expenses I would have debited and I credited my supplier account. Clear? What happened to this 1,500? This 1,500 I did not receive in the month of December. So, December also I need to carry forward this 1,500 as an accrual. So, December month accrual should be last month invoice yet to be received 1500 plus current month invoices had to be received 5000. Total accrual should be 6500. That is the reason why I told you when you are booking a current month accrual, there are other aspects to be considered. What is the other aspect here? Simple. What happened to the last month? Last month, whatever accrual I booked, whether I received those invoices or not. If I wouldn't have received all these invoices, I need to carry them in December. So here, one invoice I did not receive. Since I did not receive this 1500 invoice, I need to carry forward this to next month also. So next month, when I am booking accrual, last month invoice yet to be received 1500 plus current month invoices yet to be received 5000, put together $6,500 I need to book an accrual in the month of December. So my entry will be legal expenses debit 6,500, accrued legal $6,500. This is the entry I am supposed to book. Once I book this expenditure, here 6,500 has two components. 1,500 related to November, 5,000 related to December. Together I booked 6,500 as an accrual in the month of December. Let us see how this has impact on my P&L account. If I prepare my P&L account, November month, I debited $3,000. Clear? Legal expenditure, debit. So, I debited 3,000. Accrued legal would have gone to liability, balance sheet. December month is over. 3,000 debited, 3,000 debited in my P&L account. When it comes to December, now I am in December. What I would have done? I reversed this entry. So when I reversed this entry, my legal expenditure previously debited got credited. So this will come to credit side of the P&L account. So $3,000 credited in December. Clear? Now what happened? I booked an invoice for 1,500 here. So $1,500 invoice will come to debit side of the P&L account. Because legal expenditure is debited 1,500. That will come to P&L in December. Supplier account will go to subledger. It will appear as a current liability in the balance sheet. Then fourth entry, legal expenditure I debited with 6,500. So 6,500 will be debited here. And accrued legal will go to current liabilities. Now, you tell me what is the impact here? 8,000 I debited, 3,000 I credited. 8 minus 3 is how much? $5,000 is the net impact in December. So, when I told you December month, how many invoices I am supposed to receive? 2 invoices worth 5,000. That 5,000 is there in December. See here in P&L. Go to November. Your 3,000 was already debited in November. See, it is exactly matching. November month expenditure was there in November itself. Though there are November expenses booked in December, though there are some expenses related to November carry forward as an accrual in the month of December, also booked in December, but the net impact, if you see in December, you have booked only 5,000 rupees. Net impact is $5,000 in the month of December, which is exactly related to December. So this is how it appears. December expenses are appearing in December, November month expenses are appearing in November. But if you see, 1,500 related to November, booked in December, 1,500 of invoice related to November, not received, still booked as an accrual here. Even though this confusion is there, what is the net impact? The net impact is 5,000. That is the beauty of this accounting, this accrual accounting. So, this is how the entries are to be booked, and this is how the impact will be there on P&L account. Are you clear? Now, you need to understand what is the next step. Once I book this, what is my next step? You already booked an accrual. You have seen what is the impact on P&L account. Everything is done. Now you need to understand what is my next step. Your next step as an accountant is, what is that accrual I booked in the month of December? 6,500. How many months invoices are included in this? 2 months. November month 1,500, December month 5,000 included in this. As an accountant, what you are supposed to do is, you need to start following up for the invoice copies yet to be received. Otherwise, what will happen? You keep accruing these expenses. That is not good. You can book an accrual, and I totally agree. But once I book an accrual, as an accountant, what you are supposed to do is, you need to do follow-up with your suppliers, request them for invoice copies. If you don't receive the invoice copies, what will happen? The aging of your accrual will keep increasing. Aging of your accrual will be increasing. You need to project that aging also as a part of your backup paper, saying, yes, my accrual I am booking for the last 2 months. This is 60 days old accrual. I am still continuing. I am yet to receive the invoice copy. I did the follow-up, but still my supplier did not send me an invoice copy. That information you need to project as a part of your backup paper in accrual. That is the important point as an accountant. As an accountant, you need to do follow-up for the invoices yet to be received, so that you can reduce your accruals on month-on-month basis. You can reduce your aging of accruals on month-on-month basis. Otherwise, these accruals will keep increasing, your aging also will keep increasing, which is not correct. So, as an accountant, what is your responsibility? Your responsibility after booking an accrual is, how many old invoices I am keep booking as an accrual? What is the aging of those accruals? Whether I am doing proper follow-up to get these invoice copies or not. Am I ensuring that these invoices are being booked by my AP department or not? Once I book the invoices, once I do the follow-up, whether my aging is reduced or not. These are the important steps you need to keep in mind while booking an accrual. Clear? This is an important topic which I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much.